Hi guys, today we're going to be cooking spaghetti bolognese. Okay, but before we start cooking, we're going to make sure we've got a clean apron on, we've washed our hands and taken any jewellery off. You may have cooked spaghetti bolognese before by buying a jar of pasta sauce, cooking up some mince, mixing it together, then throwing it over some cooked pasta. Today we're going to be cooking it from scratch, so we're going to be making the pasta sauce ourselves. Okay, so how do we start that? Well, we start by looking at the ingredients list. The ingredients list gives you instructions on what to do before we actually start cooking. For example, in this recipe, we've got diced onion, grated carrot and diced celery. So we need to do this before we actually start the cooking process. Okay, what I am going to do, I'm going to put some boiling water on because I know I'm going to need that a bit later to cook my pasta. So I'll get that started while I'm chopping up the vegetables. Okay, so we need to obviously peel the onion. Best way to do that, take the top and tail off, cut around the edge there. Okay, then we can get that onion skin off relatively easy. Okay, that goes in the scrap bowl. Okay, then we cut the onion long ways. Okay, so dicing the onion. Okay, this is the best way to dice onion because it actually doesn't make your eyes cry. Okay, the reason for that is what makes your eyes cry is the inside, and if we keep the inside of the onion down on the chopping board for most of the time we're cooking, then we're not going to get them juices out and we're not going to make our eyes cry. Another important part of that is to have a sharp knife. Now the sharper your knife, the less onion juice is going to come out and the less likelihood that it's going to make you cry. Okay, so we've cut the onion there, put it down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to slice the onion vertically, okay, down the edge, okay. And then what I'm going to do is take them two edges off, okay, take them across, and then I'm going to cut the onion laterally. What will happen then is the onion will start to get some cubes of onion or diced onion, which is what we need for the recipe. Okay. Okay, we just put this onion over here. We only need half an onion, so that's all I'm going to cut. Okay, so once we've done that, we're going to put the onion over there, ready to go. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is grate our carrot. So we top and tail the carrot. Okay, cut it in half. Again, we only need half the carrot, and then we're going to grate it. Okay, just being careful of our fingers when we do that. You don't want to grate your fingers in the spaghetti bolognese. So we take that down, put that in our scrap bowl, and we have our grated carrot ready to go. Now this little bit of plastic I'm using, it's called a baker's friend. Very handy tool when you're cutting vegetables. Okay, so we're just going to put that over there for now. Bring that up a bit. Now the next thing we're going to do is dice our celery. Okay, I've got about half a stick of celery. What I'm going to do, cut that one in half. Then we're going to cut long batons. Okay, once we've got them long batons, I'm going to put them all together. And we're going to cut it into nice cubes. Okay, so traditionally we put celery, carrots and onions into a bolognese sauce. So the last thing we need to do is chop the tomatoes. This is where it gets a little bit messy. So that's why we always leave it to last. Okay, about half a can of tomatoes there. Okay, so we're just going to chop them up just so they break down a little bit easier when we put them into the we put them into the sauce. You can buy like chopped tomatoes. Okay, that'll make it a little bit easier when we're cooking. Okay, again, throw them in there. Okay, ready to go. Okay, so now we've prepped all our ingredients. What I'm going to do now is clean down, and I'll be back in a minute and we'll start the actual cooking. Okay guys, we've cleaned down, we've all got all our ingredients organised, ready to start cooking. Now our pasta water has just started to boil. What I'm going to do is take that lid off, okay, and we're going to put the pasta in. Okay, now it's important that the pasta is boiling when you actually put it in, otherwise it's going to stick together. It's also important that once we get it in there, to actually try and move it around a little bit. Again, that will stop that pasta from sticking together. Okay, so as soon as you can, put the rest of the spaghetti under the water. Okay, so then we get an even cook. Alright, so while we're waiting for that, we're going to go back to the Bolognaise. We're going to start the Bolognaise sauce. Now, we're going to start by putting a little bit of oil in. Now, the pan I've got it on here at about 7 or 8. If you were cooking at home, if you were doing it on a stove top, probably medium-high heat. Okay, that way everything's going to cook right. Now, we're going to start by putting the oil in, getting that oil hot. Okay, because what we're going to do, we're going to saute the onions and garlic. Now, sauteing is basically cooking off the onions and garlic without browning them. So you don't want that brown colour. That's why we've got it on about medium to high heat and not really high. Okay, so we're going to put that onion in. Okay, allow that to cook through. Okay. Same time the garlic goes in. Now the garlic, if you're using jarred garlic, it does normally have a little bit of water in that, and it might tend to spit a little bit. But just move it around it, keep it moving, and it shouldn't do that for very long. Okay, so once the onions and garlic have gone translucent or almost clear, okay, we're going to add the meat. Okay, what we want to do, we want to brown off that meat. Okay, it's important we brown off the meat because that's where your beef flavour is coming from. We're not using any stock cubes in that today, so you want that meat nice and browned off so the meat can caramelise and develop flavours. So we're breaking up that mince just so it cooks evenly through. Now the Bolognaise sauce, it's called the Bolognaise sauce because it comes from a little town in Italy called Bologna. I've got a map up here. It is about here on the map. Okay, in the north of Italy. Okay, so it's named after the region it was developed in. There's many different recipes that are named after the region they come from. Hamburger. Okay, the hamburger was actually originated in the United States, but it was made originally by people that came from Hamburg in Germany. Okay, similarly the Frankfurter, again developed in the US, but it was originally introduced to the US by the immigrants from Frankfurt. That's why it's called a Frankfurter. And this obviously comes from Bologna. Okay, so we're going to put the veggies in now. Okay. Now traditionally you do get vegetables in a Bolognaise sauce. Usually onion, carrots and celery, which are often found in a lot of Italian cooking. Okay, so we've browned that off a little bit now, just softening up the veggies. So once that meat's browned off enough, we're going to put in the rest of the ingredients. Just keeping it stirring all the time so it cooks even. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mix that pasta around a little bit just to make sure that it's not sticking. Right, we're going to finish off now by putting a little bit of your tomatoes in that you've chopped. Your mixed herbs. Okay, dried mixed herbs. If you're at home, you've got some fresh herbs, you can use them. Okay, the herbs you'd use would be something like basil, rosemary and thyme. Okay, which is basically what is in that mixed herbs. Except that them ones were dry. Okay, now you can see it's a little bit thick. So what we need to do is add a little bit of water to the mix. I'm going to turn it down now because what we're going to want to do now is simmer. Okay, you don't want to take any more moisture out of the mixture at this stage, so you don't really want it rapidly boiling. All you want to do is you just want to cook out the vegetables and develop the flavours in the sauce. Okay. So you're going to bring that to the boil again, and then we are going to allow it to simmer. Okay. If you get to a stage where there is actually too much where it's too dry, when the mixture's too dry, just add a little bit of water on. Now, you can actually add some of the pasta water into your mixture. That way, it'll be hot. Okay. So keep that stirring. I'm going to turn that right down now. Okay, might need a little bit more water. And like I said, if your sauce is not, you don't think there's enough sauce there, you think you need a little bit more, just put a bit of water in it and allow that to simmer now for about 15 minutes. Okay, that'll cook off, it'll make sure all the vegetables are cooked and you'll get a nice thickened sauce. Okay, you can see now it's a little bit watery, but as it cooks it'll thicken up. Okay, now we've got our spaghetti over here boiling away. Now, spaghetti is a type of pasta. Now, pastas you may think are Italian. Now, they actually are Italian, but they were introduced by Marco Polo. Now, Marco Polo travelled all the way through Asia. He was an Italian explorer. What he did was brought the idea of noodles back to Italy. Okay, and that's where pasta developed. Similarly, where we have risottos, which are a very Italian dish, Marco Polo brought rice back and the idea of cooking different rice dishes, and that's where that risotto came from. So we think of pasta as Italian, but originally the idea of the pasta came from Asia. All right. So when we cook pasta, we want to cook it to what we call al dente. Now, what al dente means is to the teeth. So you don't want a really soft and mushy pasta. You want it to still have a little bit of bite to it, and that's why we call it al dente, or to the teeth. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just wait for the pasta to cook and the Bolognaise sauce to cook. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean everything up, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to plate up. Alright guys, we're back and we're ready to plate up. Okay, what I've done is I've drained the pasta in a colander, and the pasta sauce is ready to go. It's been cooking for about 15 minutes, and what's happened is the vegetables and tomatoes have all broken down into a sauce. So how do we serve? Okay, we grab the pasta, one serve of pasta, okay, and we put that in the middle of the plate. Okay, what I like to do is twist as we put it down. Okay, so you get a nice pile of pasta there. Okay, we then need to put on your pasta sauce. Some people like to mix in the pasta and the sauce. Up to you which way you do it. Now, you put some pasta sauce on top. Okay, just enough for the amount of pasta you have there. You want to mix in a nice amount of pasta and pasta sauce. Okay, now at this stage you can eat it like this. I like to garnish it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese, maybe some basil on top, and you're ready to go.